What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be giving my honest review on the Baratza Encore ESP. I picked this grinder up around a month ago and have been experimenting with it to see if this grinder is really worth all the hype. The Baratza Encore ESP comes with a big ground spin to hold large amounts of coffee. It comes with a single dosing cup that can fit on 58mm and 54mm portafilters. It comes with a pipe cleaner. And it comes with a hopper that can hold up to 200 grams of coffee. It also came with a power switch that you have to attach onto the grinder, and I'm not gonna lie, I was low-key confused as hell for a minute trying to figure out what the part was for. But once I knew it, it was really easy to attach. To take the hopper off and access the burrs, you simply have to twist the hopper to the last grind setting and lift it up, which is a really nice feature because it saves you a lot of time. The Baratza Encore ESP has 40 total grind settings, 20 exclusively for espresso, and 20 for coarser grind settings for things like French press and pour over. And I gotta say, I love that they have 20 settings just for espresso because you can dial in a shot really precisely. Inside the grinder, we have an outer burr, an inner burr, and a bunch of other parts that I don't know the name of, but I know they're probably equally as important. And when you're accessing the burrs, be sure to not lose a washer because they have many little washers in here and you need them all. So here is a look at the outer burr. Now, I don't know much about how burr sizes affect the grind, but for anybody that cares, these are 40mm burrs. Here's the inner burr, and I appreciate that this one's all metal, unlike the outer burr. I'm sure there's a reason for that, but I just like all metal parts. And I'm going to be honest, for this last part, I didn't know what it was at all or what it was called, but I looked it up and it's a paddle. So that's there. Now, don't mind that I just dropped that last piece. That never happens. At least I dropped a metal piece rather than a plastic one because nothing broke. Now, enough about all the boring parts. To test the Baratza Encore ESP fully, I made French press, pour over, and espresso with it to see if it could handle all different types of grind sizes. Because I am not the person that just makes one type of coffee. So when I was in the market for a grinder, I was looking for something that is versatile. For the French press and pour over, I used the recommended grind settings from Baratza, but for my espresso, I have been experimenting and I find that the recommended setting causes way too much channeling, so I go lower. The recommended setting for French press is 32 clicks, and it worked pretty well. My coffee had no grinds in it, which was a big problem with my manual grinder. It kind of felt like I was eating more coffee than drinking it, but with my Baratza, I don't have to worry about that problem at all. Now, obviously, I'm just playing because I love my Chestnut C2 manual grinder. It's like my favorite grinder, and it'll always hold a special place in my heart, but there was a little bit of sediment at the bottom every time I would make French press. One downside of this grinder is that it's a little loud. I personally don't find a problem with it, but I know that it can be a deal breaker for some. Here's what it sounds like. I personally find that it helps quiet the voices inside of my head. For my pour over with the Baratza Encore ESP, I used 30 clicks and I thought it made some of the best pour over I have ever had. However, I don't know that much on the specifics of pour over, so I'm sure there are better settings to do pour over on than 30 clicks. I do plan to experiment and find my personal preference for pour over, but we're going to save that for another video. My favorite part about this grinder is the time and energy it saves, because when I would make coffee with my manual grinder, I felt like I was in the gym always getting an arm pump, and I make way too much coffee to be working out for every cup. I was basically training to be in a bodybuilding competition. But now, the Baratza's ease of use saves so much time when making coffee because I can go from espresso grind settings to French press grind settings in a matter of seconds, which I really appreciate because some of the other grinders I was looking at were way too complex for a beginner like me. Like, come on, I was terrified taking this grinder apart and I didn't even fully finish, so I can't imagine taking it apart every time to change any grind settings. The final test I did with the Baratza Encore ESP was make espresso. For this espresso, I'm using Nicaraguan beans from Summer Moon Coffee, and I'm doing 9 clicks on my Baratza. This is arguably the most important test because the grinder has espresso in the name, so it has to do good. And it did not disappoint. This was by far one of the best shots I have pulled. I was so hyped while recording this clip. There was almost no channeling. Sadly, there was a little bit at the end, but I will keep experimenting. If you guys would like to get this grinder for yourself, I will leave it in the description down below, and you can also find it on my website, thebeanradar.net. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment which grinder you use if you have one, and if you don't have a grinder, let me know if this video was helpful. Peace.